Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy, TheMadKaiger. And up here today, guys, I have a game review. I am going to be reviewing Dynasty Warriors 3 for the PlayStation 2. I believe it was also released on the original Xbox as well. Which version is better? I have no clue. I'm guessing the original Xbox version probably runs a tiny bit better, being a more powerful system, of course, for the time. And I'm trying to do a complete Warriors collection review. I already talked about all the Warriors games that I own. So now we're going to be doing some reviews of them. And I've actually been playing Dynasty Warriors 3 for the last couple of weeks now. Just for an hour most days, and just doing a few missions and different characters. And about a while ago, I actually did a review for Dynasty Warriors 2. And, you know, I remember that game having a lot of nostalgia for me because it was the first Dynasty Warriors game I ever played. Now, I am aware that I have skipped on the original Dynasty Warriors on PlayStation 1. But I really don't consider that to be a Dynasty Warriors game because that was a one-on-one fighting game very similar to Soul Calibur or Tekken. But I like to think that Dynasty Warriors started with Dynasty Warriors 2, the whole 1 versus 1,000 formula, the hack and slash, the Warriors format, the all-star games, I don't know. Now, Dynasty Warriors 3 did make some big improvement over Dynasty Warriors 2. Now, the first thing you need to know about Dynasty Warriors 3 is you don't need to have played the other games to enjoy this one. Each Dynasty Warriors game is basically an improvement from the last game, which add new elements or new things to the game. It's kind of like a FIFA or sports game formula, almost, where they add new stuff. I like to think that Dynasty Warriors is more different to sports games, of course, but it has a similar formula in terms of each game added new things while keeping the formula the same for the most part. Some games did experiment, but now Dynasty Warriors 3, the first thing I want to say that about this game is I never had this game growing up. In fact, the only Dynasty Warriors game I really played when I was a kid was Dynasty Warriors 5 Empires on the Xbox 360. But Dynasty Warriors 3, I remember playing this years ago. I'm thinking, okay, it's okay. But the first thing you need to know, let's talk about what was added into this game, what was improved. Then we'll talk about some of the more annoying things, and then we'll sum it up at the end with what I think about the game in general. The first thing you need to know is this game had over 40 playable characters. Now, the thing you need to know is this game actually 40 characters in the game. Now, you unlock a lot of characters. I think you start with like 12 or 15 characters, similar to Dynasty Warriors 2, and you unlock characters by either beating a certain character's muscle mode, or maybe there's a certain thing you need to do. For example, to unlock Lu Bu, you need to kill 1,000 people on the Hulao Gate battle. But the thing is, you need to know is that not every single character is playable as a story mode. Each character has their individual story mode apart from the other characters. So Shu, Wei, and Hu characters all have a Musou mode. And the Musou mode is basically the story mode. And the story modes are basically 7 missions, sometimes 10 missions. I think Cao Cao, Liu Bei, and Sun Quan each have 10 missions, I think. And other characters have 7 missions. Now, it's important to know that those characters' missions sometimes are similar to other character missions. You might be doing the same battle with Zhang Fei as you did with Guan Yu, for example, but you're just playing it from their perspective, basically. There are some new battles that were added into this that weren't in Dynasty Warriors 2, for example, the Nanman campaign, or the Southern Border Territories campaign, the Naman Tribal campaign. So Meng Huo and Zhu Rong are basically in this game as well. And overall, each character's campaign can take you anywhere between an hour to 3 hours, give or take, depending on how fast you play through the game. Now, the first improvement I noticed was the actual gameplay itself. one of the biggest complaints I had with Dynasty Warriors 2 was the fact that even though it's this 1 versus 1,000 formula, it always seemed like you could only really take on 1 or 2 enemies at a time. This one improved it a little bit more, so when there's more enemies surrounding you, you can actually attack multiple people at a time and send them flying and stuff like that. And overall, it's slightly better than the second game. Another thing I also want to mention is that, of course, there were some other new things added to the game. The first thing that was added was a weapon system. The second game only had a small RPG element where you basically get like some small defense and offense buffs for killing certain enemies. In this game, they still have that, but you also can now get items and weapons. And you also have bodyguard, which can be leveled up as well. And how that works is sometimes when you kill a certain enemy, they might drop the usual attack buff or the defense addition bonuses or a life bonus, but sometimes they also might drop a weapon or a item, and you equip those items and weapons before each battle. And there are 4 weapons per character. Some characters have other weapons which other characters can get. But basically, each weapon basically not only improves the damage, but also gives you more attack. So Dynasty Warriors 2, you only could do square, 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 triangle, square, square, triangle, square, square, triangle. For example, this one you can have up to 6 different attacks with each weapon. So level 1 weapons you get 4, level 2 weapons you get 5, and level 3 and 4 weapons you get 6 attacks, basically. 6 different, more attacks, basically. Each weapon also adds small bonuses. For example, it could be a small bonus to your attack or your defense. It could give you bonuses against bow attack, make you stronger on a horse, an example like that. And now the first thing I noticed is that when you get these weapons, if it's the same rarity, it basically asks you which one you want to keep. So you can't have multiple versions of the same level weapon like you can in some of the later games. You can only have one of each level weapon. But again, like I said, you might get a level 2 weapon, 2 of them in a battle, and one of them might give you buffs to your speed, the other one might give you buffs to your attack and defense, so you can basically choose which ones you want to keep. And of course, a similar thing is also items. You can now get items which give your characters small buffs as well. And every time you get an item, if it's a duplicate item, if the buff is smaller than the previous one you already own, it will be deleted. If it's better than the one you own, it will be upgraded, basically. And these items can be anything from mounted defense, mounted offense, increased speed, increased reach, all of those little things. Now, this basically improved the game exponentially, I think, because it gave the game more of an RPG element and really helps in some of the later battles, because you can really choose and really buff out each character if you want to. And you can sometimes it's small little changes, other times it's a noticeable change, but it's something that is in the game that wasn't in the previous game, and I think that was a big improvement. Another thing that they also added in this game was bodyguards. You can get bodyguards in this game, and they level up similar to how you level up, basically. And they will change rank. For example, they'll start off as private, then they'll go to sergeant, majors, guards, and then elite guard, basically. And the first thing I also noticed is that teammates in this game can be really, really ruthless. In some of the later Dynasty Warrior games, you've got thousands of enemies, and it seems like they never attack you. In this one, your teammates will attack constantly. There's been countless times where I've just let my bodyguards, when you get 8 bodyguards elite level, they will just murder anyone in your way. It's crazy how mad they get. And this game is definitely on the more challenging side, and I'll get to that in one of my little bit of a nitpicky things towards the end of the video. Another thing that they also added to the game was 2-player. You know how the second game did not have 2-player, even though I have the Mandela effect and always thought it did, but it doesn't. This game does have 2 player. It has co-op mode, so a drop-in, drop-out system. So before every battle, if your friend was to press start on the controller, they can join you and do split screen. I'm going to be honest with you, I never actually played a lot of Dynasty Warrior games co-op, and I'd love to play some co-op. I really would. I think they're fun co-op games. I have played a few here and there, but never really properly. But they also added some other modes into the game. You also have the traditional Musou mode, then the free mode where you can basically choose whatever battle you want and whatever character you want. And bear in mind, like I said, those other characters like the Yellow Turban characters, or Lu Bu, or, you know, Dong Zhuo, or, you know, Meng Huo, for example. You can only play those characters in free mode. However, they did get campaigns in the Extreme Legends DLC, I've heard. And I'll talk about that when I play that game. This game also had a challenge mode as well, so you can do some special little challenge modes and some special versus modes, like a duel mode, a mode where you're on a bridge and you have to knock people off, a mode where your health is constantly draining, stuff like that. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I never really played the challenge modes and the versus modes in these games, but it was nice that they did go out there and try to put in some co-op modes, and this was the first game that added co-op into the game, and some versus modes if you wanted to, you know, challenge your friend, I guess. This game also added some new kind of troops into the game. There's elephants now in the game, and I'm going to be honest with you, the elephants only appear in the Nan campaign, so only in one mission. But it was cool that they added a new kind of mount into the game. The elephants were a nightmare. I hate them. You know, you really need to use your bow and knock off whoever's riding it, I guess. But it was nice that they added some extra stuff into the game. Another thing that I want to mention is that this game also added voice over. So the second game, everything was done in text. But this game, it has voice acting. The voice acting is a little bit on the laughable side by today's standard, but I'm guessing if this was the Japanese version, they'd probably sound a lot better. That's why when in the later games they went for the Japanese and Chinese voice actors rather than English voice actors. But yeah, it was a new thing they added to the game, as well as cutscenes as well, so they were trying to improve on that. Now some of the more nitpicky things. You know how I talked about the weapon system? Now, the weapon system can be useful, but there are other times where it can be a little bit of a pain in the ass, because as the game progresses, the enemies get more health, they get tougher, they get stronger, they can kill you quicker, and obviously they have more defense. Now, sometimes you get lucky. When you get a weapon from killing an enemy, sometimes you might get a level 2 or level 3 weapon by like the second or third mission, which makes the last kind of few missions so much easier. Other times you might not even get that, and you might be stuck with a level 1 weapon towards the end of the missions, and it really slows down the gameplay. Because this whole killing weapon drops and item drops and, you know, buff drops are all randomized and only really appear when you kill an officer, it can be a little bit of a gamble each time you play through. You know, there's been a playthrough, for example, when I played as Zhou Yu, and I got his third weapon by the third mission, but now I'm doing a campaign as Zhuge Liang, and I've still got a level 1 weapon on the 4th mission, and it can be a nightmare towards some of the later missions, because, you know, you're trying to kill off tougher enemies and they're just killing you, and it just takes ages to kill them, and it makes the missions last much longer than they need to do, and it can be a little bit annoying as well. But that's just one of the nitpicky things as well. Another nitpicky thing that I hate about this game is the blocking. There's been countless times where I'm blocking and an enemy still seems to get through my attack. But then there's enemies in this game like Cao Cao is the worst, that will constantly block every single attack. Now, there is a sort of power guard you can do. When you're guarding, if you press the attack button, your character will do like a power guard, which I'm not entirely sure what it does. It doesn't deflect enemy attacks. I think it might give your character a tiny little damage boost on your next attack, I think. There's no counter attack in this game. That won't add until later games. But it is a little bit annoying when you're trying to constantly attack someone, or your bodyguards or other AI teammates are constantly attacking this one guy and they're just blocking everything. Sometimes if you've got a stronger weapon than what they have, or your attack is really high, you might be able to like do a guard break attack. But other times it don't work. So I find that the blocking in this game can be really, really annoying, especially when you're trying to kill off some of the later enemies, like Salsal, for example. And it can be a right nightmare when they're just blocking every single attack you have. You know, sometimes like you're attacking them, they're blocking, and then you go to block, so they go to attack, and then you hit them just before they attack. Other times they don't do that. The AI isn't perfect in this game. Especially on some of the enemy AIs, they can be a right nightmare. And this game definitely is challenging. It's much harder than the second game. Another thing that I hate are the bow characters. There are so many characters with bows in this game, and whenever you get hit by a bow, your character is like, I know you can get an item that gives you increased bow defense, but it's so annoying when you're constantly fighting. You're trying to fight like a character one-on-one, and you're just getting hit by bow attacks from towers and stuff. And, you know, you're trying to take them out with your bow and they hit you straight away. It's just one of the nitpicky, annoying things of this game. I know I'm complaining about something that was made in 2002, you know, and I know that they improved on it since. But these are just things that I want people to be aware of if they're going to play this game. Again, this game does have a great replay value. It is a little bit monotonous at times, and it does seem like because you're doing like the same mission sometimes with another character, it can be a little bit repetitive. But I'm trying to beat every character's story in this game. I think there's like 30 story missions again. Maybe 32 or something. I'm not too sure, and I'm not too bothered about doing every character, playing as every character on free mode, because like I said, in Extreme Legends 3, all of those characters that didn't have a campaign in this one have a campaign in that one, so there's no point playing those characters. Overall, Dynasty Warriors 3 was a major improvement over Dynasty Warriors 2, adding those RPG elements into the game, the upgradable characters, the leveling up system. I know that you can actually get your Dynasty Warriors 2 characters in this game, and I'm not entirely sure how that works. I know if you have a save file for Dynasty Warriors 2, I think what it means is you might automatically have the characters unlocked, or maybe they'll be the same level with the previous game. I'm not too sure. Overall, I'm going to give Dynasty Warriors 3 a 7.5 out of 10. It improved so much over the previous game, and you know, but because of the small nitpicky things in there, it's not a perfect game. It is a little bit broken at times, but it still plays fine. Oh, and one other thing I want to mention is that because there's no way of getting on horses unless you have the item for the horse, or you're lucky enough to find an enemy with a horse. Sometimes when you try to get on the horse or elephant, they will automatically buck you off. Now, I have two theories as to why this might be. The first one is sometimes if you accidentally attack the horse won't want you on it. And I've seen that happen a few times. Other times I think it might be because you need a mounted item, like a mounted attack or defense item. I'm not too sure. But it can be a nightmare, especially on the Meng Huo mission, where he appears at 7 different locations before you make the final push against him. And then there's a part where he will spawn in an area that's only accessible in 2 ways. Either you get on an elephant and you break down the wall, or you have to go all the way around the back. And that can be a nightmare if you're playing as a character with slow speed, because it can take too long. So yeah. And there's no speed increase item in this game. There is an item that increases your speed over time, but there's no like speed times 2 item like there was in the second game and in the later games either. I always wondered why they took that out. You know, they had attack and defense and Muzao times for 10 seconds, but they never had the speed times 2 for 30 seconds in this one. And it would have made more sense because there were some levels where enemies will spawn. The battlefields on this level were much bigger than the previous game, so I don't know, man. But yeah, it definitely made improvements over the previous game, and I'm still going to go back and try and beat all the missions for this and try and, I say, 100% it as much as possible. Does have a lot of replay value, stands up in the Dynasty Warriors series, massive improvement over the second game, and I enjoy it. I'm enjoying it. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like, comment below, let me know what your favourite Dynasty Warriors is. Have you played the third one? Do you think what I'm saying is true, or maybe there's something I haven't mentioned? And of course, guys, subscribe if you haven't already and join the family. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TheMadKaiger. And of course, follow me on Twitch. I will be continuing my stream tonight of Call of Duty World at War. We've got 3 more missions to do, and then we're going to do some classic World at War zombies. I'm not sure if there'll be any more streams later on this week, because I'm going to be playing Far Cry 5 with my friend on PS4. So there might not be streamed when I'm playing that. I'll try to, but I don't know. And as always, guys, have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye.